operator on a moving vehicle, the forward momentum continues to turn the engine's crankshaft, drawing air into the cylinders as the pistons move up and down, and compressing that air as the pistons move back up. The pressure of the compressed air pushes back on the upgoing pistons, tending to slow the vehicle. But without a compression release mechanism, as the piston passes through top dead center and heads back down again, the compressed air acts as a spring and pushes the piston down, returning most of the work done in compression back to the crankshaft. So you get very little braking effect. So that's really the difference. There are some other technical things, but a compression brake is mechanical, and it works on the exhaust valves of the engine, where the exhaust brake captures the exhaust and uses it for compression.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Exhaust brakes are considerably less expensive, very simple in operation. They do have to be lubricated, however. There's a special lubricant because of the very high temps. And usually when they service your engine, they'll do that.
Automatically?
Yeah. Compression brakes, I think there's more maintenance to them for as far as adjustments and things like that. But I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that's the skinny on diesel engine braking, exhaust brakes, or Jake brakes.
Great.
You like that, huh?
Well, you know, I didn't understand it that well, and this kind of explains it. Because
I'm sorry if I got a little too technical with top dead centers and things.
Well, I'm not a mechanical person at all, but this gave me an understanding of what the heck it was. Okay, we got an email from Eric Brubaker. Brubaken, sorry, Eric. And he was talking about they're planning to take the SMART tour to Alaska next summer. Summer of 2015, I believe. So I've heard like Cal and his wife are planning to go to Alaska this coming summer, and I've heard a lot of people talking about Alaska. So David Grossman wrote this wonderful little lesson learned thing that I'm going to read for you, and then the Escapees has this little going to Alaska thing. So I thought, wow, we need to.
Let's talk about Alaska.
You know, now y'all know that I've been trying to get John to go to Alaska since we started RVing, so I'm really hoping next year is it. This year we have a wedding, so that's
I might learn something this time.
Yes. Well, you know.
Enlighten me, honey.
Okay. Alaska RV 2013 Lessons Learned, and this is from David Grossman. And we've already talked about the website, which we'll put up for him. Travel tips. Allow enough time to enjoy the journey. They spent 3 months in Alaska itself alone. A typical travel day was only 250 miles.
Wow.
Purchase the current milepost manual. We had a hard copy as well as electronic copy on the iPad. Use it for trip planning, and you have the co-pilot read the highlights as you're driving down the road.
Good idea.
They looked into taking the Alaska Marine Highway, or the ferry, which we've talked about that, from Bellingham, Washington to Homer, Alaska, only to find out it was very expensive, especially for big rigs.
Over $5,000.
Total length of our towed vehicle and fifth wheel is 55 feet, and fare was nearly $5,000 one way.
Right.
We suggest you look into taking the ferry one way or return and decide what is best for your planned itinerary. Look at routing from caravans, or there are several caravan companies that go up
Adventure Caravans is one of them.
To figure out the pacing and the duration of their stays in key scenic areas. Plan to spend 1 or 2 extra days as each of their stops. Caravans seem to move way too quickly. There are many free online publications that you can get. You can download, for example, North to Alaska, which is www.northtoalaska.com. He suggests not driving your rig over the top of the World Highway from the Yukon to Alaska. This road is gravel on the Canadian side and dirt on the Alaskan side. We left our rig in Tok, Alaska, and took only the truck and arrived in Dawson City 4 hours later. And we're glad we were not towing the RV. They have a fifth wheel that they tow.
Right.
We spent one night in a hotel in Dawson City, and don't forget to stop in Chicken, Alaska.
Oh yeah. There's hardly anything there, but you got to do it.
We got more than our money's worth. Literally saved thousands of dollars from the Alaska Tour Saver book. which
Wow.
you can do at www.toursaver.com. Don't be put off by the $99 price of the book. We saved $200 on one flight seeing coupon,
Wow,
and total over $2,000 in other savings.
awesome.
We purchased it through the mail very early and used it as part of our route planning. The Northern Lights coupon book was focused primarily on Anchorage for restaurants and services. It did have a section for tours in the Kenai Peninsula, but the tour selection duplicated the Tour Savers book. We bought both, and having duplicate worked out for us because we had guests during the summer, so we could recommend an activity and provide a budget-saving option, and they really appreciated that. Enjoy the trip through Canada as an equal highlight. After all, it's a journey of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Canada, although expensive, has great sites to visit. Some of the best stops were in the Canadian provincial parks, and I've heard that the parks are wonderful. Be prepared for miles and miles with no radio signal. XM radio did not work well in Alaska, and nights without television signal. So pack or upload movies. If you own a DVD, either bring them along or copy them to your hard drive. There are many DVD ripper programs you can use. We stocked the freezer and can pantry to their limits before leaving the lower 48. Groceries in Canada was expensive, but we found a Costco in Prince George, BC,
I'll be darned.
Fairbanks in Alaska, where the prices were commensurate with the lower 48.
Excellent.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Buy bear spray, and remember to take it with you on all your hikes.
Good plan.
That would be a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't do you much good sitting in the rig.
Each of the Canadian border crossings, we were asked if we had bear spray, and they allowed us to keep it.
Good.
Bring bug spray with high DEET.
Yeah.
When arriving in a new town, your first stop should be the local visitors tourist information center, and don't be shy. Use this free resource, and we do that a lot.
Yeah, we just
No matter
do
where
that
we
here.
travel. Yeah. Alaska's Kenai Peninsula Wildlife Viewing Trail Guide, created by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, purchased from the Kenai Visitor Centers, not sure if it's available online, was fabulous. The book divides the Kenai into 4 sections. It describes approximately 60 locations to view wildlife, but also the habitat, viewing tips, and detailed instructions on how to find the area described.
Great.
It led us to many highlights of our experience of the Kenai. Time your trip so that you do not arrive in the north too early in May, and consider your return trip to the lower 48 by Labor Day.
Right.
And I've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
We had family members fly to Anchorage or Vancouver and schedule an inside passage cruise, and starting or ending in Anchorage area, i.e. Whittier, Alaska. We picked them up at the Anchorage airport, where they joined us for a few days of touring the Kenai. There were great last-minute cruise fares, especially later in the season, out of Seward or Whittier, allowing you and your family members to enjoy the inside passage. So just another tip. They tow their tow vehicle is a Chevrolet 3500 HD towing a 38-foot fifth wheel. They started their trip in Seattle and ended in Bakersfield, California. The total mileage on the truck was 12,000 miles with 7,500 miles on the RV. When your fuel gauge reads half, start planning your next fuel stop. And I've heard that
Yeah.
too. Be very careful.
Although
with your
there are
fuel.
plenty of fuel stops up there, but you will find some 100 and 150-mile stretches with nothing.
Yeah, and you want to be sure you're prepared for that. He suggests having a tire monitoring system.
Yep.
The system alerts you to pressure and temperature issues before they become critical. Don't forget to purchase additional batteries for the sensors. They can be tricky to find on the road if you lose them.
That's true.
Make sure your tires are in good shape and your spare is ready to use. Our tires were nearly new along with our spare. We did bring 2 bottles of tire sealant, but did not use either of them.
Good.
Bring an air compressor to inflate the tires as needed. Our compressor can also be used to jumpstart the vehicle, purchased from Costco. Bring a good set of tools.
Yeah.
John's favorite thing.
I have plenty.
Put in a package of baby wipes in the truck or the driving vehicle. Let you wash your hands before the mid-drive snack without much fuss. That's true. A gardener's pad makes kneeling much more comfortable, whether in a tailgate of a truck or on the stones while torquing the wheels. And we have that.
We have 2 of them.
Yeah, we've always had that. We've always
And I
carried
have a set of knee pads as well.
because sometimes you get some rough ground. Use 2-inch industrial strength Velcro to wrap around the cabinet handles. This helps keep the cabinet door stable and shut while the rig bounces over rough roads. It has saved us a few surprise spills when we stop for the night. And that's not a bad idea.
Could be interesting in the fridge.
Yeah, oh yeah, the fridge would be a real highlight of your day, opening that.
Yeah.
Hello!
Here we are.
Okay, he covered his bicycle mount with the motorcycle cover, and he hemmed it in with duct tape, and he added additional grommets and draped it over it and cut an area for the pole that comes out.
Right.
You can search the internet for any motorcycle covers and use as a bike cover. We were astonished about how many bugs we captured by the leading edge of our fiber. Far too late, we learned about a product which sticks on and pulls off, or some other bug migrating ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about this that thing, the product which sticks on and then you
Then
just
pulls off. I hadn't heard of that, but
Well,
I'm sure there is one.
We're going to have to research that one.
Yeah.
That one's very interesting. A great self-RV car wash is at Tok, Alaska RV Village. This is our first stop after entering Alaska and having driven on the dirt and gravel Yukon portion of the Alcan, where the mud was plentiful and the cakes on the leading edge of the wheel wells. So that was his ideas and some of his thoughts and what he thought you should remember.
Yeah, that's just excellent advice.
He,
It's already up, as I said before, on our Facebook group in the files section. It's in there as a PDF file or a text file, either one.
Now, Ron Jones has written a book about going to Alaska.
And we interviewed Ron Jones at the show in
That's why he
Pennsylvania.
looks so familiar.
Yeah, exactly. He was at the Hershey show, and we interviewed him.
Yeah, this was a cute article, but he's talked a little bit about each of the highways. The Alaska Highway is steeped in World War II history. Building the original Alcan Highway was considered one of the greatest building projects in history, with over 1,500 miles through wilderness in 7 months.
I know, that's just incredible.
However, this accomplishment was lost in the news about the war, so it didn't get there.
Right.
Alaska is one of the biggest states there is, so
It is the biggest state,
you just
far bigger than Texas.
you don't realize the amount of driving that you're going to be doing, so just relax. and
However,
enjoy.
it's hard to get lost in Alaska because there aren't that many roads. The ones that are very long.
Now, how do you pronounce this?
Cassiar.
Cassiar Highway. It goes north to south through the middle of British Columbia. This route has great mountain views and is an excellent one. That's one of
Yes.
the choices you have. Then you have the Alaska Marine Highway System, which is that ferry
That's the
system.
ferry, yes.
And it's operated by state. They sail north and south, and it can accommodate any size RV. Taking the ferry will require reservations. And
Now, we looked into that just cause a year or two ago, and for a 40-foot rig and a car and a dog and 2 of us in a stateroom, from Bellingham all the way up as far north as we cared to go was right at $5,000, or maybe a slightly more. But along with that ferry ride, they have naturalists on board, and you're cruising through the Inside Passage.
yeah,
You're going to see everything the
cruise ship.
cruise ships do.
you're just not going to have all the.
Well, you're not going to get the fancy food. You won't be weighted on hand and foot. You won't have your pet in your room. You'll have to go down and visit your pet. But how cool is that? And the best part of it, you can get off the ferry and get back on.
We have to plan that.
Yes,
Yeah.
with reservations, but you can do that without additional charge. I think that's awesome.
Oh, I do too.
Now, that will save you quite a few miles of driving. So figure the cost. There's a trade-off there. It's certainly going to cost you more to do the ferry than to drive, but way less wear and tear on your vehicle. You're only going to have to go one way. And a lot of people recommend drive up, cruise back down.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're going to be tired by then.
Oh, yeah.
You may not feel like that long drive home.
That's true. He says driving one route up and the other back is the best
Yeah.
option for the first trip. Both routes are paved all the way except for a section under repair. While the ferry is an excellent choice too, it is a more expensive method of travel and requires scheduling. Both driving routes intersect close to Watson Lake, BC, home of the Pine Forest.
Right.
Then you have one route choice up through the Whitehorse into Alaska, north of Burwash Landing. Yukon Territory, you will have to drive one stretch of highway for over 150 miles of frost heaves. That's the
Yeah, that's up and down, up and down.
and plan to tackle
With
this.
potholes too.
Plan to tackle this drive in one day. Slow down about 30 to 35 miles an hour, and everything will be just fine.
Yeah.
He also
Good advice.
He recommends 3-month trip, at least 2 full months in Alaska itself, and a month going up and down. It's a long way. Don't try to shorten this trip. It takes time and miles to the States. One rule of thumb is that you should be south of Whitehorse on both Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Right.
So doing this...
Winter comes early and fiercely.
Doing this will hopefully and historically prevent you from being in early or late freak snowstorm.
Yeah.
Whitehorse is pretty far north, and winter comes early and lasts a long time. One of the things that he did is he talked about the, here it is, the Canadian information, which I thought was so, this book would be well worth getting.
Yeah.
Driving,
What's the name of the book again?
let's see, it's called Alaska Camping.
Mm-hmm. Well, just look up Ron Jones and you'll find his books. Is it this one? Yeah.
Yeah, RVing to Alaska.
By Ron Jones.
And it's in its second edition, so he's added some
Excellent.
things. Available for $24.95. Driving in Alaska, if you drive from the U.S.-Canadian border to Alaska, considering the following information. Canada is metric.
Yeah.
Many RVers have buttons that convert their odometer to kilometers and back to miles. This saves you a lot of mental configuring. If your vehicle was sold in the U.S., the speedometer has big numbers as miles per hour and small numbers as
Kilometers per hour.
When in Canada, use the smaller numbers.
Yes, well, of course.
The post lists Canadian distances in kilometers. Consider this when calculating driving times and distances. Measure the height and weight of your RV, convert them to metric and kilograms, and put a small sticker on your dash with both the English and metric data.
Wise move.
All clearances in Canada are in metric. Canadian highways to Alaska are mostly 2-lane, all paved, and generally good roads. There are some 8% grades.
Heavy duty, 8%, that's some heavy duty grades.
That's deeper than 6%?
Way steeper.
Oh, okay. We covered one 5-mile stretch, 170 kilometers, with no services, only wilderness. So keep your full tank at least half full. Overall, there are a lot of fuel stops available. Now he talked about the campgrounds in Canada. A campground may not even have a central dump station. However, you will find a lot of dumping places at fuel stops, towns, municipal sites, and museums. It is common for restaurants, if you eat and fuel up, and if you have a fuel stop there, to offer boondocking site for the night.
Wonderful.
Ask, because it's typically won't be posted. There were many options in places like this to boondock. In northern Canadian campgrounds, 30 amp is far more common than 50 amp. Occasionally, only 20 amp is available. I will pay for 30 amp, but not for 20 amp. To me, it isn't worth it. I can live far more comfortably without monitoring which appliances are in use by boondocking and using our generator.
Right.
We saw several campgrounds that were bare gravel lots or patch of grass, and there was no charge to park. We did not stay at these places, but they do exist. There was a charge to park in just this open bare lot. Our experiences was that campgrounds have gravel entrances, sites and lanes, and therefore were dusty, assuming no rain, or muddy, assuming rain. If your satellite works in the far north, feel lucky. Your TV antenna is likely useless. Take a supply of recorded shows and movies. I was told the official policy in both British Columbia and the Yukon on parking overnight in pull-offs and rest areas was that it was okay unless otherwise posted.
Cool.
There's a lot of good stuff in here.
It does. I think that would be a good book if you're definitely planning the trip.
Oh, it's a must-have.
You've probably got about $100 worth of books to buy. This is one of them. The Milepost is certainly another. It's about $25 too.
Yeah.
Just
And sometimes you can find old ones in campground bookstores,
Yeah.
libraries, and you can pick one up and kind of get a general idea of what's going on. But you want the newest because they're updated all the time.
Yeah.
And you should have things that are updated. So, if you're planning to go Alaska, even if you're not going to do it for 10 years, it's not a bad idea to kind of start gathering information
Yeah.
and start thinking about how do you want to do, if you want to take the ferry or if you want to do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, oh, you've got a wonderful little article here about,
Yeah, this is written by, what's his name?
doesn't matter, it's from Escapees magazine. It's a good little article about what happens when you have an accident.
Yeah, and this could happen, so, after the accident, there are
It's
some-
written by Sean Loring.
There we go. After the accident, there are some simple practical steps to take. The first thing to do is call 911, if needed, and stay at the scene of the accident in a safe place to document the event. As with any accident, it is essential to exchange names, phone numbers, and addresses, both emails and physical, with all the vehicle's occupants. That's everybody that's in the vehicle.
Right.
Just as necessary is using a camera. Most cell phones now have a
Right.
camera, so you're good there. Take a photo of the accident scene identifiers, freeway signs, and anything that might give you directions. of
Take
what's
lots of pictures.
the complete scene of the accident, the terrain, the vehicles and their license plates, the people involved, the driver's license, the driver's insurance and license, and any visible injuries. If emergency services are called, write down the name of the police department, the police report number, and the names of the officers and their badge numbers.
Mhm.
The accident should also be reported to the insurance company and the State Department of Motor Vehicles.
Right.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
After the collision, damages generally continue and require documentation. There
Hmm.
are obvious damages that come in the form of medical expenses, vehicle repair, and the loss of possessions in the vehicle, the latter which can be significant given that many RVers doubles as homes.
Right.
There are other continued damages that could be documented. Any cost incurred for alternate lodging or the transportation and storage of the vehicle pending the insurance evaluation, as well in some cases with damage stemming from emotional distress.
Wow. Then it's lawyer time.
Where applicable, it is important to keep the receipts for all the costs associated with the accident. If you need to bring a lawsuit, this documentation will be critical to support your claim. So, just kind of a little bit of information on that kind of stuff, but let's hope to God that we never
Yeah.
have to use that.
Yeah.
But I never thought about taking pictures of road signs and that kind of thing,
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You are the CSI.
Your accident.
Yeah, you're
If
there
you're-
snapping away.
If you're
you know.
capable of it, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's, that
Well,
was
hopefully
kind
you
of
will be.
interesting. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about our website.
Okay.
I've done some work on it recently, and I have a whole lot more work planned. I'm going to be putting up some more RV stuff, some more tabs and things over the next couple of weeks. I'm also working on a brand new website with a new host. Well, it could be a couple of months down the road, but the beauty of that is I'll also be able to host our podcast on the website.
Oh, that would be nice.
And the blog, it'll all be combined in one place. So
That would
I'm
be
looking
good.
forward to that.
Right.
But check out our store. We have so many CDs now. We've got a dozen or 13 CDs. Each one has 20 shows,
Wow.
if you've missed some.
I'm impressed with us.
Yeah, I mean, it's 20 shows for $10. It's 50 cents an hour, essentially, of John and Kathy. All but the first 80 shows have show notes, so you can figure out what's actually on the show.
Yeah.
Gee, our friend earlier is doing a wonderful work of taking his notes and mine, putting them together on Evernote.
Oh, wow.
So he's got digital storage of everything that's on our podcast.
That's cool.
I wish I had done more of that early on.
Well, who knew we were going to be at this for 5 years?
I didn't know. I never thought about it, you know.
Never entered my mind. I thought, I'll do it for
Yeah.
or maybe two.
But our books are available there. You can either go to Amazon and get them that way, or you can get them from us with personalized autographs. Be a little bit cheaper, and we pay the shipping. All manner of stuff there. Don't forget our gear page
Yes.
where you can buy logo shirts and hats, and
Coffee cups. I've seen a
Coffee
lot of people
cups.
have emailed their coffee cups
you
sitting
can
on their
even
table.
get a little shirt for your dog that says "Living the RV Dream" on it. I don't have one for Kathy yet, for Charlie yet, but we got to be thinking about it.
We do. We should.
Well, we are nearing the end of
Yes,
this,
we are.
and we are John and Kathy,
We're living the RV dream.
and loving the RV lifestyle. God bless you.
and
Go RVing. Yeah.
That went well. I did better with my reading.